Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble while following us on Facebook, or find us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for past episodes, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe or follow today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Oh, greetings and welcome everybody to Conscious Radio Network's The Seance Podcast. Whether you're tuning in from across the globe or anywhere on the spaceship we call Earth, we're thrilled to have you with us. If this is your first time listening, we encourage you to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And also don't forget to follow us on your preferred podcast platform for future episodes. Today, our guest is Jacqueline Young, a high-profile CEO who built her career on excellence and resilience. After facing a choice that compromised her integrity, she made a bold decision to step away despite the toll it took on her mental health. Now, Jacqueline offers practical strategies to release stress and break free from the perfectionism, people-pleasing, and overachievement. If you're a leader or entrepreneur seeking clarity and flow, this episode is surely packed with insights to help you align your body, mind, and spirit. Let's welcome to the seance, Jacqueline Young. Welcome.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I need to get that to go with me everywhere.
There you go. We'll record it for you.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Let's take us back in time. How did this journey begin?
The easiest way to talk about my journey as to where I am now is to probably just go back to about 2019, when I was in that CEO position that you just spoke about. And things had been going really, really great in that position. I was heralded in and we were really cooking with gas. I was able to level the platform of the hierarchy, which is very important to me. I believe in servant leadership. So my ideology is that I serve those who would normally in the hierarchy be seen as under me. And that's the way that I really like to work in leadership, is to protect those that I serve. And that includes the teachers, the staff, the children, and of course their parents. So it was a large group. I was in education. And there came a meeting of the minds that did not happen well, in terms of some people wanting me to move forward in a particular way that I felt was not in respect to the way that I wanted to lead, and also respect to some of the rules and regulations that we had afforded each other in the way that we were going to move forward. I'm trying to be very particular with my language here because I want to be fair to all parties. And things happen in space and things happen in time. And I truly believe that this kind of was my Donnybrook, if you will, to make sure that I then could take the time off. So I did leave. I didn't necessarily retire. I kind of just moved away. My doctor basically said I could no longer actually go to work at that particular place. And that was a real slap in the head for me, because I would have gone back, no problem. I would have taken out about a week off and I would have gone back. And hearing her say that out loud was really important for me. And then I took another job, and then COVID hit. And then I feel like I slept for about a year and a half. And during that time, I spent an awful lot of time trying to figure out what had happened, where I had gone wrong, where, there was blame, where there wasn't blame, what good does blame do anyway. And so I really started on my own personal journey about what had happened to my body, because my body was breaking down like crazy. I put on about 50 pounds very, very quickly. My addiction is sugar, so it was pretty easy for me when I'm stressed. And I really needed to kind of take that time to regroup and figure out, okay, where did my mind fail me? When did my body fail me? And how did not having a spiritual connection ultimately not serve me well? And in so doing, I went down a ton of rabbit holes, which is beautiful when you have the time to do that. And I coordinated a whole bunch of lessons and a curriculum, if you will, to help other people so that they don't have to wait till they're at that point. So if I can meet up with, executives or founders or leaders who are kind of in the midst of that, looking around and trying to figure out, well, what's going on with my world? Why do I feel so out of alignment? Then those are the people that I want to serve, because I did the heavy lifting. I don't want for anyone to have to go through what I went through. And I know that there's a whole bunch of people out there that are. So I really just want to be able to offer people a way to kind of figure out why they're out of alignment, and then really easily get themselves back into alignment with practical strategies that they can use right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Answer.
And speaking of the, speaking of the all that heavy lifting, all this stuff coming down around you, you don't know which way to look, you don't know which way to go, you don't know what your direction is. And that's awesome that you are giving these tools. What seems to be with all these things falling down around you? What did you see as the first conduit, the first thing to pay attention to look at?
That's a really great question. Recognizing that I always, when most of us are feeling out of control, we feel out of control in everything. And the easiest way to get a state of control is to kind of center your body, to ground yourself, but also to recognize the easiest thing to control is also your mind. So even though it feels like a counterbalance because you're just, feel like you've got all the plates spinning, or you're on that hamster wheel, if you will, and you don't know how to jump off. One of the things you have to realize is that, wait a minute, like take a deep breath, blow out really, really hard, like press on your vagus nerve, figure out how to ground yourself, and then scan your horizon and figure out your next step. But when you're in fight or flight, which is what a lot of us have now perceived as our normal state, you don't even know that you are in fight or flight, because it's like that, cooking of the frog. You look around and you think, how did I get here? And when did this happen? It's so gradual that you take on more, and then you're dancing as fast as you can. And then something gives. Like the term that I'm using is there's leakage. You can't false your body. You can't false your mind. And so something will at some point provide that leakage. So for me, it was chronic eating. For a lot of people, it's going to be, addictions. People will look at drinking or pornography or affairs even. Like when you're playing on the outskirts of dangerous kind of stuff, that your mind is trying to get you to figure out what's going on. When your body feels like it's breaking down and you have no energy and you have chronic illnesses or headaches all the time, you know that your body is trying to tell you, you need to pay attention. Something's going amiss here. And of course, if you don't have a spiritual kind of grounding, whatever that means for anybody, without that, it's really easy to not be tethered. And that tethering is really, really important.
And I don't know what the numbers are out there. I mean, a lot of people will say they're not religious but spiritual. And if they're spiritual, at what level, at what faculty are they?
Yes.
And this disconnecting, whether you're spiritual or not, some people will probably ask in the simplest terms, well, how do you disconnect? At some point, it could be so hard to just disconnect and just sit back. That breath, that deep breath in, that deep breath out. It's almost that, we all do need, and a lot of people just are fear talking to somebody, that it could be friend, hey, call up their best friend or something. Hey, this just happened. A lot of people fear that, and they just get trapped, and they're in this bubble with just themselves, overwhelmed with all this stuff. What are your thoughts on, there might be different avenues of disconnecting and recentering and regrounding?
Absolutely. I mean, every single person is different. And as an individual, we really need to figure out exactly what is it that we feel like is missing. So I'll often use phrases like, you've checked off all the boxes and you've arrived. And sometimes you've arrived really early, which gives you a sense of pride. But then you look around and you think, well, what did I work so hard for? I've got it all. And now what am I going to chase next?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Or you realize that you're in a standard state of low level anger a lot. And you take that out where you can. So oftentimes you'll take that back home on the kids or on your spouse or your partner. And so you want to start looking for those kind of warning signals to figure out, yeah, this isn't the way that I want to be living. And we all know when that's starting to happen. But as you said, it's a fear of, well, how do I think I'm going to get past this? I have to keep going to work. I still am with my spouse. I love my partner and my kids. I just don't know how to take that step to kind of interfere with what's already going on. And to answer your question, yeah, our friends are great, but we vent to our friends. And even if you have a friend who's a therapist, you don't necessarily want to go to a therapist who's a friend.
Yeah.
And so the easiest thing is to find a coach or find a therapist or find someone who's a little bit of both. That would be me. And you want to figure out exactly how to work with a person, recognize that you're being heard very quickly, and go with your gut. Like I work a lot with what the body tells us, and your gut is a really good acclimatizer in terms of, yeah, this person feels really good, or they're not getting me. And, if you don't jive with someone, it's like you're looking for any therapist or any car salesman, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
You want to be able to really have a connection with that person, have that fantastic rapport, so that you figure that you can speak candidly and recognize that you're going to be heard. So the easiest way is to kind of make sure that you recognize, number one, that you're kind of a little off center, whatever that means to you. Out of alignment is the term that I use a lot. And you want to figure out what you can do about it, but don't sit in it. A lot of us, I was going to say a lot of these people, but a lot of us have cascades of books beside our bed, and we keep meaning to get to them. But then, of course, real life comes into the picture. So if you know you've got something that needs attending because you keep buying the books, but you're not reading the book, you're not cracking the spine, then figure out a way to reach out to someone and get some help, and someone who's going to really hear and make you feel seen and safe.
Yeah. Before we move forward, for those who are watching, your email or your website's scrolling on the bottom, but where can people find you or reach out to you?
Oh, thanks so much. Hypnosis.ca. I'm in Canada, lovely Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So it is a CA, and it's Open Minds with an S, openmindshypnosis.ca. And you can reach out to me at Jackie@openmindshypnosis.ca. And so giving away the big one, yes, I am a trained hypnotist. I'm a certified trainer, a master trainer in hypnosis. And the funny thing is, when I was doing all of my research into what had happened to me and trying to figure out, because I have a long-standing career in brain research and neuroplasticity and neuroscience, every single rabbit hole somehow connected me to figuring out more and more about the unconscious mind and hypnosis. So don't think stage hypnotist, think of hypnotherapy.
Yeah. What are some of the common blocks that disrupt our alignment that can help prevent us from overcoming some of these obstacles?
The hardest ones to overcome and the ones that are hardest to recognize are the tapes or the tropes that we have that we were brought up with. And so what hard work looks like, what perfectionism looks like, what you're supposed to achieve in this kind of family, what a man is supposed to be like, what a woman is supposed to be like. So we all have these scripts that keep playing and playing in our heads. And then we have the ones that we build in also. So I knew that I was always going to be on a career path whereby I would be able to make enough money to feel safe and secure. So I had, because of my own background, I have a poverty mindset. And so one of the things that I had to work through was, well, what does that mean for me? And how do I work through it? Our mindsets are huge. And we just kind of see them as, well, this is the way the world is. The hardest thing is to recognize, no, you came upon that mindset in a particular way. And if it doesn't serve you anymore, then we can figure out how to change it. And so one of the things that I do is help you rewire the mindset or the trope that isn't working for you anymore. And for a lot of guys, it could be as simple as, like you can be vulnerable. You can demonstrate vulnerability. It does not make you less of a man. In fact, it's probably going to help feed your family even more, emotionally feed your family. So there's all those things that we are brought up with, and they're like a cage for our mind. And the same thing, you got to keep working hard until you drop, or enough said. I think I've probably covered them. Yeah. I could go on and on. Clearly, you can see
there's a
this.
lot. Yeah,
I know.
It's an endless list.
It is. Yeah.
Now there's also, I'm sure a lot of people could relate to this. That we, like you said, these certain things that we lay into ourselves, these programs, these thoughts, these things that we think is normal,
right.
Or not normal, but in a sense, programs. We program ourselves to think certain ways.
We hypnotize ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to what is the best way to recognize, like a trigger, the best way to recognize, go, whoa, wait a second. That was my program, or that was somebody else's program, and this does not serve me anymore. It's time to move on.
Yeah. The phrase that you just used, I think, is the really critical one, because therein lies the magic of self-reflection, is when you think, whoa, where did that come from? Or, when you hear your father or your mother's voice coming out of your own mouth. And on the one hand, if you can laugh about it, then that's fine. It's an easy fix. But if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd say that. I swore, in fact, I'd never say that, but it's come out. It means that you've been triggered. You are reacting rather than responding. You are hijacked at that point. You are in lizard brain, not in prefrontal cortex, where you can figure things out. And it's an easy thing for us to figure when we're triggered, because we start to, it feels almost like a slight panic attack. It's it feels like an assault, and we have to defend. And that's the trigger. Usually we come out and we're snipey, or we're sharp, or, for some of us, I cry very easily when I'm triggered. And then it's really hard for me to kind of figure out how to coordinate my thoughts appropriately. Getting self-reflective is the most important thing that anyone can do. So when you know that you're triggering, or if you're starting to get the same response from a number of different audiences, like people at work are looking at you funny, your partner's looking at you funny, and you think, okay, the only thing that is stable here is me. I'm the only constant in all of these situations. I better do some self-reflecting.
Huh. And when it comes to hypnosis too, a lot of people out there, there's always been this taboo. I'm assuming it's changing to the better, but for the longest that I've known, until recently, there's always been this taboo of hypnosis. Or oh no, I know this is it's bad for you. This what can hypnosis or the types of hypnosis? You got suggestive hypnosis. What are the types that you work with?
Okay, so I'm going to go back and answer a couple of questions that are embedded in this first question. As we said before, when you hypnotize yourself, you're in that state of programming. And one of the things that we like to say is your parents are your first hypnotists. Anything that they tell you becomes that program. So something as easy as, elbows off the table in this family, elbows off the table. And then you go out with this guy that you've loved forever. He finally asks you out. You're at dinner. The food arrives. He puts his elbows on the table and you get a trigger. And it's kind of like, oh, this isn't going to work. I don't know what's wrong, but it's not going to work all of a sudden. That's how your subconscious mind can work so quickly. You don't even know what happened. And it's a nanosecond of a response. Yeah. So people will say, I'm fearful of, well, coming back to stage hypnotism, they always say, you're going to make me cluck like a chicken, which is so impactfully funny. Because no, not unless that's what you want out of life. That would not be my job. It has gone in and out of vogue, as you've said, like for centuries. So Einstein, the theory is that he would sit with ball bearings in his hand over a metal tray and let himself get into a self-hypnotic state, because that's when he knew he could be most creative. And that's in your theta brainwave state. So we take you down from our talking state, which is just like this, and then into a nice, relaxed daydreaming state, and then into a theta state, where you are super, super creative because your unconscious mind is released. And he never wanted to fall asleep. So if the ball bearings fell because he fell asleep, he would wake himself up and start all over again. It's a really interesting understanding of how to get into that really creative state. So to answer the long question, you're not losing control. If you see a hypnotist, and they should be able to tell you all of this stuff, you are the one that's in control. I don't have control. I act as the GPS once I know what it is that you would like to achieve. What you can get out of hypnosis is anything as, I lost my keys and I can't remember where I put them. And so we just kind of trace back where you were, to, I want to stop smoking. I'm 70 years old. I've been smoking for 45 years and I'm up to 3 packs a day. And I've had clients like that have stopped smoking in one session. If you want help with sleeping more, if you're in chronic pain, if you have a bad relationship with your parents or with your kids or with your spouse, if you know that you have childhood trauma, hypnosis is really, really key for being able to help people move through that trauma in a very safe way. It's a little bit different than psychoanalysis in that regard. Both are talk therapy to some degree. But when you are in a really lovely theta state, it can feel much safer. We can kind of take care of dealing with the trauma and have you be more removed from it in a way that feels much safer, and still address what needs to be addressing. So we all have stuff from our childhoods. We all have a lonely child inside us, or our inner child who is wanting to be more loved or feel more safe. And most of the work that I do with my executives and the leaders that I work with now, when they're feeling stuck, we can work through an issue that's at the top. And then it's kind of like, well, do you want to go deeper? Because there's always going to be deeper stuff. That's the stuff that people are quite afraid of. But once they get past that block, it's like you're cooking with gas. That you really, once you understand that block has blocked you in a number of ways that don't serve you, and you address it, then you can really move forward in ways that you couldn't actually foresee. It was beyond your comprehension to be able to see that A, this block was blocking you, and B, now that it's gone, how quickly you can move through things that before would have cost you time or money or, patience.
It's definitely a different point of view, allowing us to look at life and situations in a completely different perspective.
Yes. Yeah, it absolutely is. I love the way that you said that. Thank you. I'm going to use that someday.
And I remember a discussion I had. I had the same discussion when I was in art class many, many, many years ago, anatomy and portraiture. Looking at a subject differently to get a different view.
Yes.
And also in paranormal investigation, when we have to look at a forensic aspect.
Yeah.
Looking at a scene in a completely different aspect, laying on the floor and looking up at the room rather than at the room. It's kind of like that. It's like being in a certain spot aside from the normal POV point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And one of the things that I'll say to people is when you can identify the problem, a problem or the problem, then one of the things you want to do is get really curious and non-judgmental with yourself. So instead of trying to hack away at it and really grind and only use your conscious mind, allow yourself to kind of just drift with it, like really get yourself into a nice state of just daydreaming, and then allow that challenge to come to you and allow yourself to see it from all points of view. Like it's literally as if you are visualizing, okay, here's the issue, the problem, front and center, and then you walk around it exactly to the point you just made. See it from above, see it from all the different sides, all the different angles. And in that case, it would be, well, who else can I invite to the party? Who needs to be at the table? What have I missed? How far back should I go on figuring out where this problem started? Do I go downstream? Do I go upstream in figuring out what the real challenge is? So you're right. It's really about figuring out how to work around something in a completely different way and allowing yourself to know that there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's different words there's different nomenclature out there for hypnosis. Different practices, different modalities of hypnotism. Could you name a few of them?
Well, it varies so much in terms of like some people use visualization. Some people will simply say, I'm going to take you down. Some people will use scripts depending on what their training is all about. I do a lot of what's called parts therapy. So recognizing that there is a part of you, you know, we all have different parts of us. There's a part that always tells me to pick up a Kit Kat when I walk through the grocery line. And I always have to have this internal dialogue saying, no, you've been so good, but you've been so good. No, I don't want it. So we all have those kind of parts within ourselves. And when I do parts therapy, it's really talking to that part that's blocking you or keeping you back, or is that little child that needs comforting and needs to feel safe. So that's the way that I do the work that I do, which is why it's so impactful. But you're right. I mean, like it depends on what people will see as their driver and what's most important to them and how they've garnered results with their clients. But I do want to say something, and it brings me back to people who will use scripts. When you are trying to find a hypnotherapist, let's say, or a therapist by any means, you want to find out exactly what their schooling has been, how many hours they have been, what their Google reviews are, their testimonials, all that kind of stuff. And I don't take anything away from anybody who wants to delve into any kind of new learning. But when you're getting into really challenging work with people, if I'm looking for a hypnotherapist, I want to make sure that they have hours and hours and hours behind them as part of their, not only their credentials, but their skill set and their schooling. You can kind of hang a shingle because we don't have a professional body per se that oversees our efforts. And so like with anything else, it behooves the client to do that homework and say, tell me about how your practice is set up. What can I expect? Aside from, like the money and how it works, all that kind of stuff. But do ask, if you're going to think about hypnosis, which everyone should, where someone was trained, how long they were trained for, and, why I think I should go with you. What makes you special?
Yeah. Huh. Before we wrap up the show, do you have, aside from giving identities, we don't have no identities out there and stuff like that, do you have any breakthrough cases that you'd like to share of just something like, wow, that really changed someone's life, just completely 180, 360?
Yeah, I will. And so there's this gentleman that I worked with, and he's moved forward through an awful lot of pain and things. He phoned me up because he was so angry all the time, and he thought it would be due to past lives. So I do past life regression, life between lives, and life after life. And so if you want to find out what happens after you pass on, or different kinds of things that have happened already. And when we talked about what was going on in this life, he had a lot of reasons to actually be quite angry in this life. So we kind of worked through all of that. and he was able to find his own warrior. But what made it even better, and here's the kicker as to how it was mind-blowing, when he went back to a past life, he realized that he was a leader in a group of people who looked to him as leader. And he was calm and rational. And the shaman at the time, it was a First Nations tribe, said to him, you know, this is, you're passing forward, you're passing on, you're passing through, and you're not going to remember what happened here. Because when you come back, if you wish to come back, you won't remember any of this. But for him, what was most important is to be able to see, not only was he able to find his warrior and how to move through anger issues in this life, but to also feel in a past life that he had been this other energy of calmness and respect garnered from an entire group of people that were looking to him as leader, had a profound effect on him in terms of the energy that he was then able to shift into and claim moving forward through, you know, whatever was going to be the rest of his life. And so that was really, really powerful. There's a real energy shift that has happened. And I know I could have lost half of your audience there, but with the title of this particular podcast, I'm thinking not at all.
No, probably not. I doubt it.
Yeah.
And if they do, please make a comment. You know, just leave.
That's right. Yeah, please. Exactly.
Mark.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, it was very profound, and he's moved on and is living, I mean, a wonderful, wonderful life. Very different from when I first recognized him.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do a past life regression session on, through hypnosis and stuff like that. I think the closest I've been was probably quite a few years ago, was an ayahuasca retreat that I had gone to. But that's completely different. But now the sessions that you offer are in person and remote.
No, they're only online.
Really?
I only work online, even if I'm working with a neighbor across the street. And there's a really good reason for that. I want for people, let me put it this way. I know how hard it is to pick up the phone or email someone and say, I think I want to try this. Either you as a coach because I'm an executive and I'm feeling out of whack a little bit, or I'd love to try some of that other funky stuff that you do. Those are hard connections to make. It's always a bit of a leap of faith. And so I want for someone to be as comfortable as they possibly can. And if that means in your favorite chair, in your favorite room, in your favorite PJs, then knock your socks off, because that's how I can be with you. I just need to see you, and you just need to hear me really, really well. And then we're able to have a fabulous session. So all of my work has only been online.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. It's very powerful because I'm actually I'm right in your ear. So we get very intimate.
Yeah. That is very cool. That is very cool. Wow. Again, where can people find you?
Jackie at openmindshypnosis.ca. That's my email address. Or you can actually go to my website and see all the different things that I offer, one-on-one coaching or small group coaching. If you got a leadership group that you'd like to kind of take through the mind, body, and spirit coherence class, then it's really going to make a difference for how you are all gelling together as a group. But you can find me at Open Minds, with an S, openmindshypnosis.ca. I'm in Canada.
Awesome. Should I call you Jackie or Jacqueline?
Yeah, I go by both, actually. Yeah, whichever easiest. Yeah.
Right on.
The other thing I just want to say before we wrap up.
Yeah.
We talked about spirituality. And the one thing that I want for people to realize, that if you don't feel spiritual, again, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but if you're not feeling, well, that's just not for me, that spiritual stuff, I want you to recognize that when you are quiet in your own presence and being present with yourself, you can actually hear your own sense of your own divinity, your own sense of, oh, I feel at peace in my body. I feel at peace with me. That's it. Yeah. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be, believing in angels or believing in, whatever. It can literally be believing in yourself. And there's so many people that are stuck in not being able to be believing in themselves or self-compassionate, that's the best place to start. So don't let, the woo-woo kind of freak you out. If it feels like there's something, an opportunity here to kind of figure out a way through something, by all means, give it a try. Try to just be silent with yourself and really just be present with yourself and forgiving and compassionate.
And the proof that it exists is that inner dialogue. Because there's
absolutely
times like, who doesn't hear themselves think?
Yeah.
It's like, who doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah. But what's funny about that is that I'll say to people that I'm working with, you need to carve out 10 minutes a day in silence. Even if it's in the car, you can be driving, but you can't be talking to your spouse. You can't have the radio on in the background. It literally has to be silent. And there's a lot of people that are very uncomfortable with that. They, like, you can see them get very agitated with the idea of, I don't know if I'm ready to be alone with my thoughts. And that's exactly what we want. No, you want to be able to be alone with your thoughts, because therein lies your magic. So,
and those can be some really spooky moments. I've yet to try it, but I've almost been to that moment of being in a sensory deprivation chamber to where you can't feel anything, nothing, no light, no sound, no nothing. You can't even feel your own body.
Yeah.
Just your own presence.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And your heartbeat.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's very powerful stuff. That's why the mind, body, and spirit is, all connected. Like, I know I feel like I'm kind of beating this horse to death, but there is a reason why there's so much about the mind body right now. Gabor Mate, everybody knows his name now because, like, the body doesn't lie. It cannot sustain a lie. The mind cannot sustain a lie. And so, something is going to give. Don't allow that thing that gives be costly to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, as the wrap up, what would you like to offer as a takeaway? Why words of wisdom? That's a lot. There's been many.
It is, yeah. But I appreciate very much the opportunity, because what I would say with people is, if you have the ability to move through that fear, that little tickling of fear, I don't know what's going to be on the other side of the silence. I can guarantee you, and I don't make a lot of guarantees in life, but I can guarantee you that you will feel more wondrous about yourself if you allow those thoughts to just kind of come to you as like just a little blanket that kind of just comes over you. Don't be judgy, and go into it with curiosity. I wonder why I did that. I wonder why I felt that. And then just sit in silence and allow for answers to come to you, and don't be judgy about them. It's the best way to kind of really figure out what you're about, what your drivers are. And it's a nice, easy way to kind of sift into some work that could feel like it's really hard to get into.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Jackie, namaste, my friend. Thank you very much.
And namaste. I've had such an enjoyable time. Thank you so much.
Same here. Stay in touch. Let me know what's happening. If you got any, you have a book by any chance coming down the line or anything?
I have a book, but funny enough, it's not about this. It's about hypnosis and sports. So sport achievement. So I've got to get that sucker finished. And then again, the biggest thing that I would draw people's attention to is my course, which is on my website, and people can kind of dip into that information also and take the course on their own. But it's much, much better, much more powerful when we do it as a small group. So if that interests anybody, please get in contact with me and we'll pull a group together and get started.
Definitely. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Seance Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you next week.